Hare Krishna. Welcome to all of you for this evening's session of the art of tolerance, learning the art of tolerance. Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you for this evening's session of the art of tolerance. And in the next 1 hour, we will discuss more about this subject. So let us begin with understanding what tolerance is all about. About 2 years back, in a program called Bharat Ki Baat Sabke Saath, Prime Minister Modi, addressing in the London Central Hall, interacted with a lot of audience. One Sardarji in the audience, during the question answer session, asked a question to Prime Minister Modi. He asked, Modi ji, आपके स्टैमिना का राज क्या है? What's the secret of your stamina? So Narendra Modi very humorously replied that मैं हर रोज 20 साल से 1-2 kg गालियां खाता हूं. I eat criticism. I take criticism of about 1 to 2 kgs every day for the last 20 years. So मैंने खुद को गाली प्रूफ बना लिया है. यही है secret of my energy. So basically he is trying to say, Modi ji was saying that how he had to face criticism and how he had to learn the art of tolerance to become successful. Not going into the political angle of this, we're trying to derive the importance of having tolerance as a symbol of greatness. As we all are familiar with this famous song of Esther Years, Kuch to log kahenge. You had all heard in Bollywood. It's a very old song of Kishore Kumar in which the singer says, Kuch to log kahenge, logo ka kaam hai kehna. Chodo bekar ki baaton ko. So the purport of the song is that, kuch to log kahenge, whatever you do, people are going to speak something, they are going to criticize. People will criticize. So when that is the case, you cannot really avoid criticism, but you need to learn the art of tolerance. So if you consider this, you can understand that how tolerance is a very important quality. To illustrate, there's a famous story which most of us may be familiar with. It's a story of a husband, wife, and a donkey. There was a washerman couple. The husband and wife had a donkey with them. They were washerman and washerwoman. Once they decided to take their donkey and travel to a far off village from their own village. And when they were going with their donkey, they saw that they first were walking and the donkey was also walking with them and they were all going together. The people who saw, they laughed at them and said, oh, they have such a nice donkey, but they are not utilizing the donkey. They could have sat on the donkey and donkey would have carried them. Why they are walking? And then the both sat on the donkey and started walking. And the result was that people started saying how merciless these people are, that they are both sitting on a donkey and the poor donkey has to bear the burden. And then the husband put the wife on the donkey and said that, okay, let the wife at least ride on the donkey, and he started walking next to her. Then the people criticize the wife. What a wife is she? She's not allowing her husband to actually ride the donkey. Then the wife got down, put the husband on the donkey. Then they said, what kind of a husband is he? He is not letting the wife ride the donkey. And then they both thought, what is the use of this? So better let us carry the donkey, and they started carrying the donkey and going. And people laughed at them, thinking that, what kind of a couple they are, that they are carrying the donkey instead of the donkey carrying them. So as you know, we can very clearly see that how whatever action you do, people will criticize. We have to learn the art of tolerance. Unless we have tolerance, it is not possible to actually live in this world. And the same statement Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad-Gita. In the Bhagavad-Gita shloka, in second chapter, 14th verse, Krishna says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya, Matra sparshastu kaunteya, shitoshna sukha dukkhada, agama payino anityas tam titikshasva bharata. Which means that one has to tolerate. In this world is of duality, so there is a non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress. Just as happiness appears sometime and disappears, even distress appears sometime and disappears. And Krishna compares it to the appearance and some disappearance of winter and summer. Just like the seasons keep changing, winter comes and summer comes one after the other, and this is experienced by our senses. We feel cold sometime, we feel hot sometime, but one has to learn to tolerate. We have learned to tolerate the weather of summer and winter. Similarly, in this world, one has to learn to tolerate the appearance of happiness and distress, because both are going to be part of this life. So art of tolerance therefore becomes a completely important and a key requirement for a happy life. So definitely we need to learn to tolerate. So having understood the importance of tolerance, let's see what is the definition. How do we define tolerance? So the definition of tolerance is given as follows in the Bhagavad-Gita purport. We will see it on the screen now. The definition of tolerance, can we see the definition? It is basically said the tolerance definition, just as in the purport it has been explained, one has to know that there is a higher goal in life and one has to tolerate the non-permanent appearance and distress. Just like examples given by Srila Prabhupada in this Bhagavad Gita purport, he says, even in the months of Magha, which is December, January, when the peak of winter is there, even then a person still rises early in the morning and takes a bath, even though it is not very comfortable. Or in the months of May and June, when it is summer, peak of summer, one still has to go and cook in the kitchen. And we see, all our mothers, they take the trouble of cooking even in May and June. Of course, in the modern households, maybe we may surpass that and order from Swiggy and Zomato. But at least we have seen in the yesteryears, mothers taking the trouble to cook even in the months of summer when there is a peak of heat. In spite of that, they used to spend time in kitchen cooking. So this is a tolerance. And in the case of Arjuna, as you see, he had to fight even with his own relatives because it is needed for dharma. So all these are examples of tolerating in our life. So definition of tolerance has been given as, it means that one should be practiced to bear insult and dishonor from others. Many times we may face dishonor, insult from others, even though sometimes we may not be at fault, we may face. At that time, one who is engaged in actually advancing in spiritual knowledge, or that matter for even every day's life sustenance, to be happy in life, one has to bear, one has to tolerate so many insults and dishonor. This is expected because the material world is so constituted. This world by definition is called dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It is a place of misery and it is temporary. So the good part of that is that it is temporary, although it is a miserable place. Even that misery will pass. So one has to learn the art of tolerance. So if you see the qualities of tolerance, therefore, one's greatness has to be estimated by one's ability to tolerate the provoking situations. When one has some provocation, when some anger, at that time, if one is able to tolerate, is able to forgive, then such a person is considered to be great. Therefore, tolerance in this world is a symbol of greatness. One who can tolerate the provocation is considered to be a great personality. In fact, in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, Dashamaskanda, there's a very interesting story about this. And this story actually is demonstrating how the sages decided who is the greatest among the Trinity. I think most of us might have heard about this story, but let me narrate to you so that it is very good learnings emerging from this. Once, the sages who had all assembled for a discussion debated on this topic that among the three, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Vishnu, who is the greatest? Because all of them are worshipped among the general populace. So this story is found in Srimad Bhagavatam. And in this story, what happens is that when the sages decided to send one representative who was the senior most among them, sage Bhrigu, Bhrigu Rishi, Bhrigu Muni, was appointed as the representative to go and test and decide who is the greatest among Lord Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. So Bhrigu Muni started first with Brahma. So he went to Brahmaloka. So when he went to Brahmaloka, he had to test whether what is the quality, what is the greatness of Brahma. Brahma happens to be the creator of this material world, secondary creator. That means he has been given the responsibility to create this world and give bodies to different souls to live in this world. So in that sense, Bhrigu Muni's creator was also Brahma, he was his father. So Brahma is like the father. So as a father, one has to actually respect the father. But Bhrigu Muni did not respect Brahma. He went to him, but he did not pay his respect. He did not perform obeisances. He just walked in like that. By seeing this, he could understand, Brahma could understand, Lord Brahma could understand that Bhrigu Muni is not respecting me in his mind. So, because Brahma is the in charge of the mode of passion, Rajoguna, so Lord Brahma was agitated. He got angry. He could not tolerate. But because he was such a great personality, although he was angry, because it was a mental offense committed, he tried to control and he did not exhibit his anger. But Bhrigu Muni could understand that Brahma could not tolerate the insult. So he thought, okay, so it seems like Brahma is not perfect, he's not so great after all. Let me go and check the next. Then he went to Lord Shiva. So when he went to Lord Shiva in the Kailasa was enjoying, was dancing Tandava with his wife Parvati, with his consort Parvati Devi. So Lord Shiva was like a brother to Bhrigumuni because both have been produced, both have been born from Lord Brahma. So as a brotherly affection, as soon as Lord Shiva saw Bhrigumuni, he came forward, he welcomed him, and he wanted to embrace him as a brother. He wanted to hug him. Just like when we meet our very close brothers or our siblings or relatives, we would like to, go and hug them, touch them, and then, we want to greet them like that, pleasantly. But Bhrigumuni, knowing this is a test with Lord Shiva, what he did, he started insulting him. He said, "Oh, Lord Shiva, you please do not touch me. I am a Brahmana, I am so clean, I am so pure. And look at you, you are wearing skulls, you are smeared your body with some ash, and you're living in very unmentionable places. You're very dirty. Look at your hair. I cannot, allow you to touch me. So please do not touch me." So he insulted Lord Shiva by words. And then Lord Shiva was very agitated. Lord Shiva is the controller of mode of ignorance, tamoguna. So his anger was immediately provoked. And it was so much provoked that immediately he took up his Trishula and he was about to kill Bhrigumuni. But because of Parvati Devi, his consort, who actually stopped Lord Shiva by catching his lotus feet and he begging forgiveness on behalf of Bhrigumuni, she saved him. So thus Bhrigumuni escaped from that place. And he also realized that, okay, Lord Shiva also could not tolerate. Now he had to test Lord Vishnu. So he went to Vaikunta. So when Lord Vishnu was in Vaikunta, as we all know how Lord Vishnu is in the Vaikunta, in the Shvetadvipa planet, in the Kshirasagara, he's on the serpent bed, and Mother Lakshmi is massaging his lotus feet, and they're enjoying their moments there. Bhrigumuni entered that place. So he had to do something very severe to test Lord Vishnu this time. In the case of Brahma, he actually agitated his mind. In case of Shiva, he directly insulted by words. In the case of Vishnu, now he directly walked in and kicked. He kicked Lord Vishnu on his chest. And when he kicked Lord Vishnu on his chest, Lord Vishnu, how he should have responded? This is the greatest insult, directly hurting the body. But Lord Vishnu, what he did, he got up after he received the kick, and he actually caught hold of Bhrigumuni's lotus feet, and he began to pray to him and glorify him, saying that, "Oh, sage Brahmana, you're a great personality. Because of you, you have purified my Vaikuntha Loka because of your visit. By touching your feet to my chest, actually you have purified this place. But my chest is so hard like a thunderbolt, and your feet must be so soft like a flower. I hope your feet was not hurt because of kicking me." So saying, he began to massage the feet of Bhrigumuni. So then Bhrigumuni understood that, look at Lord Vishnu, although I insulted him to the highest degree by body, still he was not at all agitated, he tolerated. So then the conclusion of Bhrigumuni's test, when he came back to the assembly of sages, he declared that by this test we can see Lord Vishnu is actually the greatest, is the supreme personality of Godhead, because he could demonstrate no agitation. He was completely tolerant of my activities and he forgave me. So this shows tolerance is a great symbol of grace. So it's a symbol of greatness. So not only Lord Vishnu, as we know, even in the daily life, tolerance plays a great role. Around us in nature, we can see the symbols of tolerance amidst us. To illustrate one more story, I will say, there was one king in Saurashtra who happened to be enjoying in his garden one day, sitting along with his soldiers, guards, queen, and he was enjoying the evening. At that time, outside the compound of his garden, there was a Brahmana and his small son who were passing by. And what did they do? The Brahmana boy was feeling hungry. So he wanted to actually eat some mangoes from a mango tree which was in the orchard, which was in the garden of king. He took a stone and he threw it to the mango tree. And a mango fell down. And he caught the mango. But unfortunately, the stone which he threw to the mango tree, after striking the mango, it went and struck the king on his head. Now everyone saw that the king was hurt. King started bleeding. And the guards went searching who created this, who threw stone at the king. And they caught hold of this boy and his father and they brought him in front of the king. And they were expecting the king to be very angry and going to punish him. So the king asked this boy, so were you the one who who threw the stone at me? The boy said, yes, my lord. I was actually throwing the stone at the mango tree so that I can get the fruit, and I got this fruit, but unfortunately by accident, it also went and struck you. Please forgive me. So the king heard him and he said, oh, so you threw the stone at the mango tree? Yes, my lord. What did the mango tree give you in return? I got this mango, my lord. So then the king called his minister and told, please give this Brahmana 500 gold coins. The minister was surprised. This Brahmana and his son, they have insulted you, they have hurt you physically. The boy has thrown stone at you and you want to reward him with 500 gold coins? I am puzzled, my lord. The king said, if merely a tree, like a mango tree, when it was thrown stone at, it was hurt, it returned with a mango fruit. Me being the king, if I don't give at least gold coins, what is the difference between me and the mango tree? I am definitely greater than this mango tree. I should exhibit more tolerance than this tree. And therefore, I am rewarding them with 500 gold coins. So as you can see, the king also realized the importance of tolerance. So tolerance is very important in this world because the world is designed in such a way that the world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It's a place of misery. We have to tolerate. And there are many different things that we will have to tolerate. Three kinds mainly. The three kinds of miseries in the world nobody can escape. One is called Adi Bhautika Klesha. Miseries, troubles caused by other living entities. Beginning with coronavirus, bacteria, mosquitoes, and so many other living entities. Be it even our own, sometimes loved ones. Husband to wife, wife to husband, children to parents, parents to children. Different people give us troubles and we cannot avoid it in this world. Then there is Adi Daivika, that which is afflicted by nature, floods, famine, and various tsunamis, earthquakes, and various such natural calamities. If we can escape even these two, we have trouble with our own mind. Adhyatmika klesha. Mind gives so much of problem. We will get confusion, depression, panic, anxiety, stress. We have to tolerate all these things. So there are different levels of tolerance which one has to practice. And for each one of those, we have to have some role models to look up to. So let's discuss about that now. So one level of tolerance is tolerating for our own self. Tolerance for our self. That means if someone insults us directly, we tolerate that. That is a basic necessity which everyone has to follow. But even this is not easy. If you look at some great role models who have exhibited this tolerance, we will see and take some inspiration from them. So some of the examples, as you can see on the screen, are Sant Eknath, Ambarish Maharaj, and Prahlad Maharaj. I'll briefly share with you the stories of these three personalities. Of course, Prahlad Maharaj is very famous, and as you can see in the picture, we can all make out how just because he was worshipping Lord Vishnu, because he was always chanting the mantra of Lord Vishnu, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. For this, his father, who was a demon, Hiranyakashipu, severely punished him. Like you can see, he harassed him in so many ways, as you can see in that picture. But still, Prahlad Maharaj tolerated for himself, for his self-belief, for his belief that Lord Vishnu will protect him. He could tolerate. Another example was of Ambarish Maharaj. So Ambarish Maharaj was also a very great king and a Vaishnava, a devotee. And once he tolerated the insult and trouble caused by one yogi called Durvasa Muni. So once it so happened that Ambarish Maharaj was following the Ekadashi Vrata, and he had just finished and he was about to break his fast by drinking water. At that time, this great yogi Durvasa Muni walked in to his court, into his house, to his palace. And so he received, Ambarish Maharaj received him with great respect and told him that please receive our hospitality, let us have prasadam together. So Durvasa Muni said, I'll take bath and come, and he went. And he delayed to test Ambarish Maharaj. So the time to break the fast was passing through. So on the advice of Brahmanas, Ambarish Maharaj decided to break the fast by taking only one drop of water. Just when he was taking that drop of water, Durvasa Muni entered and he felt insulted. How dare you take some prasadam before feeding the guest? For this offense of yours, I'm going to curse you, I'm going to make you suffer, he said, and he produced a demon from his hair who tried to kill Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish Maharaj just prayed to the Lord, and as a result, Lord Vishnu sent his Sudarshana Chakra, who chased Durvasa Muni after killing the demon. And finally, Durvasa Muni could not be rescued by anyone. He came and begged forgiveness from Ambarish Maharaj. And later, immediately Ambarish Maharaj forgave him. So you can see he exhibited great tolerance for himself like this. And this is a story of Sant Eknath. Sant Eknath was a great devotee, a Maharashtrian saint, and his great tolerance was exhibited by a fact that one person who wanted to insult him and see that he will get provoked and become angry, he gave money to one rogue and told him, you should go to Sant Eknath every day when he is going to come and take bath in the river. You stand at the banks. As soon as he takes bath and comes out, you have to spit at him. So when you spit at him, immediately after he has taken bath, he will definitely become angry. And then people will understand that he's not so great saint. He's becoming angry. So this man, because he wanted the money, he agreed and he started doing that. So one day when Sant Eknath came and he took bath and he was returning, immediately this man spat at him. Sant Eknath did not utter a word. He just smiled, went back, took bath. Second time, same thing. Third time, same thing. So this continued for not once, twice, thrice, four times. It continued 108 times. The man would spit at him. Sant Eknath would go back and take bath again. After 108 times, this man could not take it anymore. He fell at the feet of Eknath and begged forgiveness and told him that I was promised gold coins if I could make you angry. That's why I was trying this. Please forgive me. Then Sant Eknath said, why should I become angry, my friend? In fact, I'm very happy and grateful to you because of your spitting, I could take bath 108 times today in the river and purify myself out of all sins. Had you told me that you will get gold coin, I would have just acted as if I have become angry so that you could get your money. So this was the level of tolerance of Sant Eknath. Some more role models. In the second level, we can see great role models who tolerate for not themselves, for their loved ones. Some of the examples for that is the great couple, the supreme personality of Godhead, Sri Ramachandra and Sita Devi. They tolerated so many troubles because of the one desire of Kaikeyi and Dasharatha giving the word that I will fulfill it. Rama took exile and Sita followed him. They went because it's the loved one's promise, the father's promise, Pitruvakya Paripalana. For that purpose, Ramachandra took this trouble and he tolerated all the troubles and went to jungle. Sita Devi also, when she was accused that she was not chaste lady because she was kidnapped by Ravana and she has to give a test, Agni Pariksha. She went through for the tolerating her own inconvenience because for the loved ones, for Lord Ramachandra, she was ready to enter into Agni. Similarly, in Mahabharata, we can see Bhishma Deva, for the sake of his father's desire that he wanted to get married to one more lady called Satyavati, he gave up. He took a vow. He took a pratigna that he will never get married and he will serve the throne of Hastinapura. Whoever will sit there, he will see his father in the throne and he will respect them. Because of that love and respect for his father, what all he went through, without becoming the king, he had to fight on behalf of Adharma also. So that is Bhishma Deva, tolerating. One more role model. And Pandavas are greatest role models of tolerance for loved ones. How Draupadi tolerated for the sake of her husbands, even though she was so insulted. How all the Pandavas tolerated because of Dharmaraja's commitment to Dharma. What all Pandavas went through, as you know, from the very beginning. How they were tried to be killed by poisoning, by being burnt in a palace of wax, how they were cheated in the exile, how their wife was insulted, how they were sent for Vanavas, and finally how they had to fight the Kurukshetra war. They tolerated all this for the loved ones. So this is another level of role models. So I request all of you, so far whatever you have learned from the examples and role models that we have seen, or for that matter, anything on the topic of tolerance, I request you to put in the comment box any questions or any queries that you have about this topic of the art of tolerance. We will come back to these questions and try to answer them after concluding with the few points which are there for today. So the third level, the greatest exhibition of tolerance, greatest level of tolerance, which is not so easy. One can tolerate for one's own self. One can tolerate for the loved ones. But tolerance for the entire world, it's the greatest. And these are real role models. We can only aspire to become like them and actually look up to them. They are great personalities. Let me give you those three examples for this. Who tolerate for the welfare of the world. There's a story of a saint who saved scorpion. Once a saint walked into a river to take bath and he was stung by a scorpion and the scorpion fell into the river. And it was struggling to stay afloat. It was going to drown and die. Seeing that the scorpion is dying, the sage picked up the scorpion. And picking up that scorpion in his hand, he tried to rescue it and put it back on the land so that it would live. The scorpion immediately stung him And impulsively, because of the pain, he shook his hand and again it fell down into water and it started struggling. Again, the sage picked up and tried to put it in the land. Again, the scorpion stung. So this repeated 2 times, 3 times. And one of his disciples was with the saint. He saw this and he said, Master, why are you doing this? Look at that scorpion. It is biting you so much. Why you have to take that pain and try to save that scorpion? So the saint replied, the scorpion's nature is to sting, is to become angry. It is to give pain. But my nature as a saint is to save, is to tolerate, and is to help. If the scorpion, in spite of the risk of losing its own life, is not ready to give up its nature, why, as a saint, should I give up my nature to save the scorpion, to tolerate in spite of the pain it is giving me? That is why, for the sake of tolerance for the world, for the sake of tolerating the scorpion and saving its life, I will tolerate. So, this is a great level of tolerance. Similarly, in the history, we can also see Lord Jesus Christ as a great symbol of tolerance. For the sake of teaching people to love God, he was crucified. And when he was being crucified, Lord Jesus Christ prayed to God, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do. So he asked for forgiveness to those who were crucifying him. This is the level of tolerance of Jesus Christ. There was one more great personality who appears in our own history, whom we worship along with Lord Chaitanya. His name was Sri Nityananda Prabhu. He's an incarnation of Balarama. So Nityananda Prabhu, once on the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, went to the village and searched for the most sinful people of this village, and he wanted to give them Hare Krishna mantra so that they can be saved. If they can chant Hare Krishna mantra and become devotees, then the whole world will become so happy and surprised to see the transformation, and they will also take up to chanting. This was his idea. So he caught hold of these most sinful wretches called Jagai and Madhai, and he went and begged them, please chant Hare Krishna. So these sinful people, these rogues, they took a stone and hit Nityananda on his head for the sin of asking them to chant Hare Krishna. Then Nityananda Prabhu, despite that, he told them, please beat me, I don't mind, but you chant Hare Krishna mantra so that you will be saved. So he was ready to tolerate pain and trouble for himself, but for the sake of the world, because if these sinful living entities, these sinful people, if they become transformed by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, whole world will take their example. And for their sake, Nityananda Prabhu tried to tolerate anything. And the last, but not the least, is our beloved spiritual master, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Srila Prabhupada. His Divine Grace, Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, who founded ISKCON at the ripe old age of 69 by going to America, suffering 3 heart attacks, and in a short span of 12 years, establishing an international society consisting of 108 temples at that age, and circling the globe 14 times across 6 continents. He also tolerated for the world. And one instance I would like to just narrate to you to conclude this. Srila Prabhupada in 1977, in October, November 14, 1977, Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, our beloved spiritual master, left his physical body and returned to Krishna. But he continues to live with his murti, in his deity, in his books. So in October 1977, he was physically very ill. He was very weak, and he was in Vrindavana. He was completely confined to bed, and he was very frail, very weak, hardly he could move, and he had stopped completely eating anything. He used to take only 3 drops of Charanamrita, water offered to Lord Krishna. Only that 3 drops he used to drink, nothing else. And he was in such weak, debilitated condition. But yet he continued to translate Srimad Bhagavatam for the world. At that time, one Brahmana, Sri Vaishnava Brahmana from Bangalore, Sri Sampat Kumar Bhattacharya. This Sri Vaishnava, very elderly man, very big scholar. He was a priest. He was in Bangalore. He had known about Srila Prabhupada because he had come to install the Vigrahas, Prana Pratishtha of Vigrahas in the Hyderabad temple. So he knew Srila Prabhupada like that. When he heard that Srila Prabhupada was not well, he came to know about this and he came all the way booking a flight to Delhi and coming there and then taking a vehicle and coming down all the way to Vrindavan from Bangalore, which required so much money. All this because he wanted to share something with Prabhupada and try to save him, thinking that Prabhupada might not know this. So he came to Srila Prabhupada and he said, I want to meet Swami Prabhupada. So then he was shown. So Prabhupada was in his bed, very weak, faintly speaking, and he paid his respect, Sampat Kumar Bhattacharya, this priest, and he told Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, I just wanted to bring to your notice that you are still physically alive, but still I see that in your temples, such as in Bombay, in Vrindavan here, and in very other places, they have installed your murti, your vigraha, and they are worshipping that. So an acharya is present in his vigraha and murti as much as he is in his body. So even though when you are still physically alive, if they are worshipping this murti, the result is whoever comes and prays to that murti, if that person is so much having so many papas, he is having so much sins, all those sins have to be taken by the acharya through that murti and it will affect his body. You have fallen so sick, you are suffering so much because I think this murti, you are receiving this all these sins. So I request you to please remove your murti from the temple until at least you are physically alive. He thought that Srila Prabhupada, without knowing, somebody might have done this without Prabhupada knowing this. So he wanted to inform. Prabhupada smiled and he said, I know, but I am ready to take their suffering. I have come here to take their suffering. I have come here to take their sin. I am ready to suffer for them. That is why I have allowed my murti to be worshipped. Not only now, even after I die, this murti, through this murti, I will take their sin, I will take their papa, and I will suffer for them. Just like Lord Jesus Christ. So when Srila Prabhupada said, I am ready to tolerate for the sake of the world, for the sake of my devotees, for the sake of devotees of Krishna, then Sampat Kumar Bhattacharya was speechless. He just paid his respects, he paid his obeisances to Srila Prabhupada and took leave. This was the great level of tolerance exhibited by Srila Prabhupada. So, of course, these are greatest role models, which is very difficult to emulate for us. But they will serve as a great source of inspiration to learn the quality of tolerance. So, to conclude, tolerance is a basic necessity for our own growth in spiritual life as well, and even normal life. In fact, to even able to chant Hare Krishna mantra, one has to learn to become tolerant. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in a famous instruction, one of the 8 instructions called Shikshashtaka, one shloka he dedicates for this quality of tolerance, which is important to chant Hare Krishna. He says, Trunadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. One has to learn to become humble, humbler than a blade of grass, and also tolerant, tarorapi sahishnuna, even tolerant than a tree. As we heard in the example of a mango tree giving mango when one threw the stone. Similarly, we have to learn to tolerate. Only then, one who has learned to respect everyone and not expecting any respect for oneself, he can chant Kirtaniya Sadahari, he can chant Hare Krishna. So it is important to develop this quality. It is important to develop quality of tolerance at our personal level for the sake of our loved ones, for the sake of the world. So how do we implement? How do we get this quality of tolerance? It is very simple. The devotee does not take extraneous efforts to learn tolerance, or for that matter, any other quality. The key to learn tolerance is also in the practice of spiritual principles itself. If one simply chants Hare Krishna mantra regularly and hears, automatically all the good qualities start developing in such a person. One has to become aware that currently I am not very tolerant. I want to develop tolerance. Only then I can actually become happy in this world. And I cannot do it by myself. I have to depend on the Lord. So let me chant and depend on the Lord to give me this quality of tolerance. So one has to chant the Hare Krishna mantra like that. So I request all of you to please take to this chanting. This is our only appeal. The Hare Krishna movement, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is only meant for propagating this chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. We request you to chant at least 108 times every day. This Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's very simple but very effective. So before we conclude, let us chant this Hare Krishna mantra. Due to paucity of time, let us chant 21 times today. And then I would like to take some questions if there are any. So let's chant 21 times together with me. Please close your eyes, sit erect, and let us chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Thank you very much. I request all of you to chant this Hare Krishna mantra 108 times at least every day and experience the power of this mantra, and automatically you would be able to develop the qualities of tolerance and all the good qualities which are required. So today we have learned the art of tolerance, and of course there are also some practices that we can put in, including Hare Krishna mantra. First, at least identify where we stand at the level of tolerance, and then see how we can develop further. So let's see the questions which we have for today. So we have Sridhar SR, who has asked the question: non-violent provocations, humiliations, and abuses could be tolerated easily compared to violent provocations. Should violent provocations like rape, murder, loot, etc., be tolerated at all? So, this is a good question from Sridhar R. Whether one should tolerate the provocations, violent provocations like rape, murder, loot, etc. So, one has to understand that tolerance is also a quality which has to be exhibited along with the understanding of whether one has to tolerate or not, based on the requirement of dharma. That means, if at all it is not dharmic, if it is because of their sin, somebody is causing a trouble to you by murder, loot, or even rape, according to dharma, this has to be punished. So one has to take an appropriate action. As you know, if there is a murder, or if there is a theft, or if it's a rape, one has to approach a right process and take action against them. And in course of self-defense, if one is coming to a murder, in course of self-defense, one has to protect oneself. There's no question of tolerating that. Tolerance has to be exhibited when that is required, that you are able to tolerate, and it is not going to cause a problem for our body, it is not going to threaten our life, or it is not going to cause a problem to the world. If it is only a problem to ourself, our body, our ego, our mind, one has to tolerate. But not unnecessary violent provocation should not be tolerated. Of course, as we saw in the example of the sage who tolerated the scorpion sting because it is the nature of that scorpion, but he was only trying to save the scorpion from falling into the water, right? But if the scorpion's sting is going to cause the saint's death, he has to escape the situation. There's no doubt about that. And for the sake of escaping the situation, if one has to kill that scorpion, there is no harm. It has to be done with the consultation of dharma. Therefore, Dharma Shastra even says, even a saintly person is pleased when a violent snake or a scorpion is killed. Why? Because it is going to create problem otherwise. It's going to create danger. So when to fight and when to tolerate, it is based on the dharma. So it is very important to see that the humiliation, insult, provocation, if it is to oneself, to one's mind, one's ego, we can tolerate. But if it is costing once by murder, if one wants to take away our life, we have to self-defend ourselves. If one is trying to, perform something like a loot, it has to be counteracted. Rape has to be counteracted. And therefore, there are laws in place. So it does not mean that every situation has to be tolerated. So I hope that clarifies. Also, the next question was by Chandrasekhar. Should Pandavas tolerate the insult of Draupadi? Arjuna was ready to tolerate, but Lord asked him to fight. How to understand this? When to fight and when to tolerate? It's a good question in the context of Mahabharata. Pandavas, should they tolerate the insult of Draupadi? Of course, they should not, and therefore the entire Kurukshetra war was fought because to counteract the insult to Draupadi itself, but they had to tolerate at that moment because that moment was not right. They had to tolerate that insult because they were in that situation. For everything, there is a time. So therefore, Lord Krishna brought about the time when Draupadi was attempted to be insulted by disturbing. Lord Krishna himself came and saved, because it was not the right situation for Pandavas to exhibit their prowess. They had to tolerate. But Krishna saved her because she's a pure devotee, and she directly surrendered to Lord Krishna, and he saved Draupadi. And later he brought about this entire war of Kurukshetra. Krishna promised to Draupadi that, my dear sister Draupadi, for the insult they have done, the insult Kauravas have done, insult Duryodhana has done, I will see to it that none of them will be alive. And so the Kurukshetra war was fought. This was the very reason why Lord asked Arjuna to fight in spite of him being ready to tolerate, because it is adharma. And that was the time when Dharma Yuddha had come. This was the sake of bringing about this war, was to establish Dharma, to give them the right payment for the adharma that the Kauravas had performed. So Lord had arranged this Kurukshetra war. At that time, Arjuna had to fight. That was the situation. That was the right situation where he should not tolerate. Because it was the Lord's will that he should not tolerate, therefore he had to fight. So when to fight, when to tolerate, one has to see when it is according to dharma. And who tells the dharma? Dharma is shown by the Dharma Shastras. Like the Bhagavad-Gita, where Krishna himself gives. And the pure devotees of Lord Krishna, the Guru, like Srila Prabhupada, who has given us all instructions, which are very practical to be applied when in the right situation. By taking the guidance of devotees, one can learn this art of when to tolerate and when not to tolerate. So every situation varies. As I said, when a violent provocation situation like a murder, loot, rape, one should not tolerate, one should take action. And when one should tolerate, when one is facing provocation of insult, humiliation, but one can actually understand that this too shall pass. One can tolerate. So this situation has to be very carefully judged, and one has to take guidance wherever required. I hope that answers the question. Of course, it is much more specific actually. If we have to go on answering personally, I would request you to actually keep in touch with our devotees who can help you situation to situation based on your personal situation, how to actually exhibit this art of tolerance. So it's a personal knowledge, personal transformational skill which one has to learn by interacting with devotees. The general principles and the importance of tolerance and the techniques of tolerance can be taught, but the situational tolerance has to be explained by understanding situation from person to person. We also have one more question from Sri Pichaya M. He says, his question is, when we tolerate, I think we must still initiate the required actions to correct the situation. Is my understanding right? So if I understand the question correctly, the tolerance question has come with respect to when one is actually not at fault, but somebody is humiliating, abusing, insulting, or creating trouble to you, although you are not at wrong. Should you tolerate? And when you tolerate, then along with tolerance, should you also initiate required actions? So the devotee's way of dealing with this situation is, even though one is not supposed to experience that pain and that insult and abuse, if it is directed at him, even though it's completely faultless, the ideal devotee has to be able to tolerate, and he'll tolerate, and he will not take it as an insult. He'll just forego. Like Lord Jesus Christ or Nityananda Prabhu, he did not take that as an insult. He said, Jesus Christ was being crucified. He said, no problem. Forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. But when it is to be, when the insult, problem, trouble is going to affect so many other people, not only ourselves, then apart from tolerating for oneself, one should also take the required actions. Also, we should very clearly understand the difference between tolerance and suppression. If we try this method of tolerance very artificially, we will actually be ending up only suppressing our anger and will not actually be exhibiting tolerance. What is the difference between suppression and tolerance? Suppression means inside you have anger, inside you have bitterness, you are not able to forgive. But outside, because you have no power to exhibit that anger, or nobody cares, even if you exhibit anger, even if you fight, you say nobody cares, you don't have the power to exhibit it. So you suppress. That will not work. One has to naturally develop the quality of tolerance and forgiveness so that he says, no, it doesn't matter, I'm not at all affected. It is natural. And that comes with practice of spiritual life. One will naturally develop that tolerance. Until then, one has to tolerate and also initiate required actions. What are the required actions? If it requires to make some corrective action by complaining to an appropriate authority, it has to be done. One should not think simply let me tolerate for everything, then one will become a doormat on which everyone can rub and go. One should not be a doormat. One can tolerate, but at the same time do the duty that because I am tolerating, these people are using me as a doormat. He has to bring this to the notice to a certain authority. One should not take tolerance means that others can take one for granted. So it's a very practical and a very sensitive knowledge. Situation to situation, it varies, as I mentioned. So next question, again is from Chandrasekhar. Many times we see people with great tolerance, but they never chant any mantra. How to understand this? Yes, there can be people who chant, who exhibit great tolerance, but they never chant any mantra. Yes, that is because everyone is blessed with some good qualities according to their karma. Just as we see that there are people who are blessed with some good qualities, like somebody has a good voice, singing, somebody has a good talent, somebody has a good quality of patience, all these, but they may not be actually necessarily devotees. We are not saying that only devotees can have tolerance. If one has good karma, he can have good tolerance quality also in him. But what we are trying to say is, if we lack tolerance, tolerance is an important quality one should have to become a good devotee. But suppose we are aspiring to be a devotee, but we do not have great quality of tolerance. One need not extraneously put effort to develop tolerance separately. By chanting Hare Krishna mantra, you will automatically see that your tolerance, patience, humility, pridelessness, gentleness, all these qualities start manifesting naturally. So we are saying we can chant Hare Krishna mantra and see that these qualities develop even if we do not have this. And of course, if somebody already has the quality of tolerance, by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, he will only benefit because it is the preliminary qualification to chant Hare Krishna mantra is Taro or Api Sahishnuna. One should become tolerant, more than tolerant than tree. So it will greatly help him. So even one who does not have tolerance, by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, he can develop tolerance. If one has already got tolerance but he is not chanting, by taking to chanting Hare Krishna mantra, he can really quickly advance. Because our goal is not to simply become tolerant or develop all good qualities of the world. Our goal is to attain the perfection. Perfection is attained by becoming a devotee and understanding the purpose of life, as we would have heard in the previous sessions, and as you will hear in the next few sessions. The one of the good qualities is tolerance, which will help us not only in this world but in also in our spiritual life. So therefore, it is not that, please do not misunderstand that chanting Hare Krishna mantra is the only way by which one can become tolerant or one will have tolerance. But all other techniques, artificial techniques to develop tolerance may not help. But chanting Hare Krishna mantra will definitely help to become tolerant. If somebody already has tolerance, by his good karma, he may utilize it to become a great devotee. The last question before we end for today is the question, very common question. I think it is related with all other questions also. Is it possible to practice tolerance in this Kali Yuga? Very good question. Yes, Kali Yuga is called the ocean of faults, dosha nidhi. So it is very difficult not only to practice tolerance, to practice any good quality is difficult in this age. Definitely. It is not, but is it possible? It is very difficult, but is it possible is your question. Yes. Shukadeva Goswami in Bhagavatam, in the conclusion, he says that it is possible, and it is summarized in this one simple shloka where he is telling Parikshit Maharaj, Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan. But there is one good quality by which all other good qualities can be attained. What is that? Astin heko mahan guna. There is one mahan guna. What is that? Kirtana deva Krishnasya. By simply performing Kirtana of Krishna, Mukta Sangha Param Vrajet. One can get liberated, one can get delivered from all bad qualities and attain the perfection. So once again, coming to the same conclusion, is it possible to practice tolerance in this Kali Yuga without taking it to a spiritual process? If one does not have tolerance, can he simply directly get by some other artificial means? He may try it, it may work for some time with some people in some situation, but not with all people at all times, at all situations. But by practicing Krishna consciousness, by practicing chanting Hare Krishna mantra, even in this ocean of faults called Kali Yuga, one can develop tolerance. It is a gradual process, and it depends on how well we establish, how well we practice this. But as we practice, we can ourselves realize over the years, you can see, oh, I was this person. Now I have become transformed to this person. How much I have developed these qualities. One can test for oneself. So it is possible to notice. So it is definitely possible to practice tolerance and develop all other core qualities if one takes to this process, simple process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And begin this process of Krishna consciousness, and you will see that all the good qualities will start manifesting with time. One has to practice this over a period of time under the guidance of devotees, and then we will see there is a great benefit that one can attain. I hope all of you could take benefit of this topic of the art of tolerance. Thank you very much for being tolerant of me and listening to this session of the art of tolerance. We will see you again in the next week with a new topic, with a new session. Thank you very much for joining us. Hare Krishna.